Okay, everyone, I'm going to give a quick, a little bit more refresher demo than not with printing. So I'm going to use acrylic paint. I'm just going to squeeze some out here. And based on Ellie's suggestion from last class, I've actually grabbed my kitchen sponge and just took scissors and cut it down into a smaller piece. Okay, so the one thing about a sponge, and they're actually really great for printing with because they're soft and pliable, and the fact is right in my kitchen, really easy just to recycle one that's not in the greatest shape. It wants to hold a lot of material, a lot of paint, a lot of ink, a lot of whatever you're using. So a good habit to get in is when you load this up is to actually start with kind of offloading. So get the excess out first. So I'll do it again. So it's like when I load this up, I'm going to offload and get the excess out. Then when I start printing, it'll be easier to not overdo it. And just like when I spoke in our previous demos and in class about printing, use a little bit of material and work it around as much as you can, because the more you have, the more likely it will smear and blend, things like that. So just work a little bit at a time. And then as far as motion, if I can stay with more a straight up and down motion, I'm kind of exaggerating that here, that's going to help me a lot. Okay, so up and down rather than side to side, because as I start to move side to side, then I'm more likely to cause the stencil to shift and run into problems. Now, as I'm working on my prints today and demos today, I realized that I left my painter's tape in my studio. So I can't tape my stencil down without it, but notice what I did. I just used my heavy tape dispenser here, Scotch tape dispenser, to weigh my stencil down. I really don't want to use that to tape my stencil down because, as you probably know, Scotch tape can tear when you remove it. So in this case, just using the weight of my tape dispenser works absolutely fine. So almost done here. Again, when I take on, when I offload, I want to keep my motion straight up and down, especially on these more delicate stencils. And you do see that with the addition of the acrylic paint, the stencil is kind of bowing a little bit. Just fine, it's going to do that. This was the stencil again that when I cut it, I realized that I made that one really long cut that I maybe shouldn't have done. That's okay. As the acrylic dries, the stencil is actually going to be a lot more durable. Almost there. And again, each time I grab more paint, I offload the sponge because it's going to want to hold a heck of a lot of paint. So grab in, kind of rub off. All right. And again, now that I'm ready, oops, notice one spot. So a careful scanning eye before I move on. Okay. Now when I lift the stencil off, and this is a good practice too, going straight up, and there we go.